Not much of what I see makes sense. Am I the only one here still expecting to see war machines and bullet holes? I'm sure someone driving down that road saw someone killed. It wasn't that long ago. Who are you, Vietnam? You're looking good. Tall. Glowing. We're neighbors, but I've never seen this side of you before. To you fellow travelers, I admit, I'm here because the flights were cheap, and so were the hotels. It's been 15 years since I first came to Saigon. It was cheap then, it still is. But I'm not here to stretch my dollar. I'm here on a blind date with this new, enigmatic generation of Vietnam.
Thank you.
And it seems like I'm very much welcome. This is Christine, our fixer. You want something? Chances are she'll know someone who can get it for you. Her family owns this hotel, and she runs her own fashion business. On top of all that, she still has a day job, a true personification of the hustle culture of Vietnam today. She's Vietnamese but spent most of her childhood in Singapore. We met when we were obedient church-going teenagers. These days, not so much. We grew up together, right? In
we
church.
did.
And
So you were here the last time, like
yes, I was
15
here
years
15
ago,
years
right?
ago.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, right?
Back then, it seems as if Saigon was an adolescent teenager that needed guidance, parenting. Apart from some districts, there were still curfews in place. At 19, my mom thought it was the perfect destination to bring her 3 angsty children. Part of the top 10 things to do was visiting Viet Cong tunnels and war museums. Every day we learned how lucky and fortunate we are to be born and raised in a time of peace. So why did you come back?
I follow an ex, you know, the story. Yeah, that's that is the age-old story. Yeah, I followed love back here. I think the whole thing just happened in the right direction, in the right way. That I was back here at the time of the boom of how Vietnam became today. Kind of started in 2016 and 15.
What happened in 2016?
What happened in the US and in Europe kind of made everybody look to Asia.
Yeah, everybody is saying that, Vietnam is a place to be. Remember this guy?
China.
Remember how he pissed off this other guy? Oh, I almost forgot. This happened too. While the big boys were banging tables at each other, there sat Vietnam, quietly ready to collect the crumbs of displaced businesses. It's almost uncanny that the Vietnamese people were exactly what these businesses needed. Aspirational, ready to say yes, and most importantly, energetic.
60% of the population is younger than 35. Such a young country.
Yeah.
I mean, there's such an energy here. You can feel it on the street. And at the same time, it's inherited a culture of, of relaxation. They work hard, but they also enjoy life.
Lesson 1. Never skip breakfast. That's something I'm always told back home, but I never do. Here in Ben Thanh Market, it would be unwise to skip breakfast. With so much to choose from, I would go so far to say it's impossible to skip any of it. Away from the bright lights that attract first-time travelers with wallets fat with Vietnamese dong is where locals come. To refuel, to trade haggling strategies, or to just gossip. I'm getting weird stares now. I must be in the right place.
Do you know what you're eating?
Oh yes, let me try saying it. Ban Quan. Thin rice batter steamed for no more than a minute on a cloth, rolled with chopped mushrooms and minced pork. No knives are needed here, just that one spoon. I'm not a huge fan of the local fish cakes, but when the freshly fried prawn crackers and garlic heaped on, we're back in business. All this served along with a bowl of sweet savoury chili dip. A typical humble Vietnamese breakfast. Who in the right mind would skip this?
So it's a super thin.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
chichong fan.
The chichong correct. It's a chichong fan. And try it. I think this is better than chichong fan.
But yeah, this I can eat every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much white garlic. It's so great. Ho Chi Minh or Saigon, it seems like it's progressed so much further than Hanoi.
The South has always seen wealth. It's the rich of the Mekong Delta concentrate here, right?
Yeah. Would you say it hasn't seen poverty
It
or lack?
hasn't, exactly. It hasn't seen a lack of poverty because it has so much natural resources. And so Southerners have an attitude of really enjoying life because they don't need to save. Based on that attitude, they're just more open. They're just more generally because they're not so much about competition. But if you go to the north, and it's particularly in the middle of Vietnam where we have always flood and it's difficult to grow anything. People are really poor. Their way of life and their attitude towards life is very different. They're not so generous. Right? You have to have a lot to be generous, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
A lot of people think about Vietnam, and it's so apparent when you see the streets. It's just war, planes, the US, military being here. How is that significant to you right now, on the people here in Vietnam, in Saigon?
Well, they taught about it in school, for sure. Every history textbook will teach you about Vietnam, and Vietnam has such a rich history, right, of being conquered, actually, of being dominated by...
French first, right?
No, Chinese.
Chinese first. Oh, okay.
1,000 years.
Wow.
That's why our language is a mix between Chinese and French. You would think that we would hate all the people that conquered us, dominated us, like the French, the American, the Chinese. But I think they're super open. They love just trying to get a random tourist to talk to them because they want to learn English.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Almost every young Vietnamese person speaks some English. Unlike Singaporeans who were forced to learn a second language in school, they opted for it. Those who didn't go to school learned English by whatever means they could, just like this lady.
When you come to visit in Ho Chi Minh City, you should be to come to Bến Thành Market and you eat something for dessert.
Yeah.
Vietnamese dessert, y bé chè. Hello.
Now, I'm not saying she didn't go to school, but she surely learned how to be a great salesperson speaking my language, desserts. Typically, I do not gravitate towards food that fluoresces, but Christine insists that I must have one. Rose-flavored water chestnuts, pandan-scented jellies, some pieces of tapioca simmered in syrup, a spoonful of crushed ice, and freshly pressed coconut milk. Don't let the colors fool you. It was all natural. Desserts at 10 a.m. in the morning? Yes, please. All of a sudden, it struck me. The person who owns the dessert shop, the rice roll kiosk, and many others are all women. You may be thinking, well, these are small street food businesses. It's only natural. How dare you? Do you know how much it takes to get men in line? Like most things, Vietnam has already sprinted ahead, leading Southeast Asia. Vietnam and Singapore are almost on par with the percentage of women in politics. But as a nation, a larger percentage of Vietnamese women have some secondary education and are working as compared to Singapore. We are very much behind. So I wanted to know what drives the women of Vietnam. So we arranged a lunch with Christine's woman-only entrepreneur group at Saigon's most celebrated restaurant with Saigon's most prolific chef. Unlike the market, here the tables were turned. The men cooked. The women ran big businesses. Doan and Khanh-Linh are entrepreneurs. Doan runs an apparel empire while Khanh-Linh produces Vietnamese chocolate. Denise is a French-born Chinese who founded a coaching and consulting business here in Vietnam. These women, in their own rights, run their world. So, of all places, why did they choose Vietnam?
Everybody came back to Vietnam for business, for work, for career, right? But it wasn't really... Was it ever a time that you hesitated?
Not a second.
Really?
I was in China since 2012, so I could see the growth of China, and I felt like I was after the big growth, and I wanted to experiment this growth of a country, and actually I arrived also 5 years ago here, Vietnam today and Vietnam 5 years ago is so different. So different.
I came here 15 years ago. It was
Nothing like that.
nothing like this. Bro, I don't think we even talk about Vietnam. That's
yeah.
the thing,
Yeah.
like, it was never on people's tongues, right? People don't talk about. All I've heard in Singapore is Vietnam is a place where it's growing a business, you know. It's good, it's exciting, it's cheap. What about the people though? Like, I mean, you guys hire people, they're part of your team. What's on the minds of the young Vietnamese here today?
Hustling.
Hustling.
When I talk to people, there's always somebody started to do something. Like my friend, like they all have like 2-3 different business.
My feeling is that young graduates, they already know that they can skip that step and they can right ahead start their own business. Or they will do a job, but at the same time they will work on their startup company idea. So most people here will have 2 or 3 jobs at the same time.
When they want to go for help,
Right.
who gives the help? Do they go to people or do they go to an office? I'm being very, very careful here.
They go to people.
Go to people.
They go to people.
I think recommendations is the best.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why here connections and relationships are so important. And that's why it's so important.
You know, I should have known better than to ask about the government. At this point, everyone started being cryptic with their words. The tension was thick. Thankfully, more food and drinks arrived.
Okay.
This is getting cool.
Everyone tried bún chả before?
Yes.
So this is we call this bún chả one bite in honor of Anthony Bourdain, who made the dish more famous. So we have everything, the pork, the bone, everything inside. So you eat this as one bite. So you can hold it with the leaf and eat it all together. Okay, no chopstick, please. Okay.
No chopsticks.
Right.
It's so good. I love the texture. The combination of texture.
Right.
is so
That's
good.
why you need to eat together to get that experience of the texture and flavor on one.
Difficult that they did so much.
Could I ask about the cocktail, the inspiration
Okay.
behind the cocktail?
This is called the fajito, so it's based on the pho, herbs and spices. We're using a local gin. We use like more like a golden dry gin where it has less character. It's made to be
Mix it up.
to mix into a cocktail.
Do Vietnamese have nation pride?
A lot. You can
Too
just
much.
A bit too much, yeah. Come here after we win a football match.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna run to the street with their flag and like the drum, and then after that it died. That period of saying, does it really translate to anything that is productive?
It's wasted energy.
It's a wasted energy in that sense.
I think to go back to your point, I think it's not just about the political or but the deeper level is really our society culture, which is we are a rice-based agrarian society, which means that in order to grow rice, you need a community of people. That means you have to learn to rely on people to work as a group, and this is within our culture, within our psyche, and our society is built around this community. This sense of required that we need other people who support each other. So this is part of the way who we are that define us as Vietnamese.
Peter, like the rest of the table, sounds like someone who has spent a lot of time outside Vietnam, though not by choice. He was airlifted out of Saigon on the last day of the war when he was only 12 years old. He was a refugee that grew up as an American, and he excelled as one. He earned a place at Yale and made his way into investment banking. He has made home bases in Hong Kong, London, and New York. Peter wanted to reconnect with his mom, and fortunately he did. He never forgot his mother's cooking after all these years, and so he left his illustrious career, trained with the best chefs around the world, and returned to Vietnam. Since 2016, he has been modernizing the cuisine of his origins.
So, Peter, you are a pioneer of modern Vietnamese cuisine in Saigon. Is that true?
That's what people say, and I think, I came back to Saigon about 5 years ago, and I was based in Hong Kong, New York, other places before. When I came back, I saw most people were still doing very traditional Vietnamese food in Vietnam. So I see Saigon, Vietnam changing, and I saw this opportunity for someone like me who's coming from the outside to give them a modern version of the food.
Do you think Vietnamese people are buying into it?
I think food is, it relates back to people's identity and who they are.
Yeah.
But I think one thing good about Saigon, the people are very open-minded.
and they want to try new things.
Have you ever met customers that tell you, no, banh mi should be banh mi, don't change your pho, it works well?
Yeah, we do have a lot of that, and I think it's part of the process. There will be some people that say, oh, that's really interesting, I like it, I don't like it. Some people say, you should change your thing. Don't touch pho banh mi. This is sacred product for our country. But I think the thing about food, just like the Vietnam itself is evolving, it needs to change.
So any future plans to take Anan further, or a new restaurant, or you want a franchisable chain around the world? What's the big dream for you?
I'm not based in Singapore. I don't try to franchise everything. but I think right now, what we're trying to do is stay very focused on what we're doing here. I'm a believer we need to build a very strong foundation first and work here first. But I may consider open a very interesting, kind of like a pho shop that's really dedicated to pho, just to relook at the dish again. Do it, but do it in a different modern way. I think it could be fun to do. I'm looking forward to doing that.
Peter calls this the most expensive pho in Saigon, and it's gone in one bite. Sounds unimaginable, but it's dishes like these that keep the crowds coming. The people here are hungry for the familiar, for the new, and for the foreign.
Awesome timing. What's up? Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you, man. Welcome to Vietnam.
Chefs like Adrian came here to Saigon to ride the wave of opportunities. As the people get richer, they'll want to spend it. Adrian runs this izakaya. The second floor hides a private omakase counter for the big spenders. And this is one of the many restaurants he runs.
So Adrian, when did you arrive in Saigon?
I got to Saigon 2017, I think.
So it was for opening restaurants?
So basically, I was brought here by a Singaporean company, and the goal was to really just open a restaurant, be a chef, and help them develop the F&B part of the business.
So when you first arrived, do you have that kind of feelings from the Vietnamese people who see you as like a guai lo or something?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. To be very honest, I feel like when I arrived, I fit right in. I don't know, but I've never had a bad experience in Vietnam. In fact, it's so much part of me now that it's my home and my family is here. I immediately knew okay, this was it. This is where I'm going to be, this is where I want to be, and this is where I'm going to make something of myself, basically, right?
When you make new dishes here, let's say nomu, it's izakaya, right?
Yeah.
So is it completely Japanese, or is there some things that you need to keep because that's something Vietnamese people want?
I don't like to say we do anything authentic, right? Because for us, it's we're always trying to just kind of put our own interpretation of a certain dish. So for us, it's okay, what can we do to twist things a little bit, right?
How about we explain it with the food?
Oh, yeah. Let's bring some food over, yeah. All right, so basically here we have a burrata infused with some wasabi, and then we have some pickled cherry tomatoes and some bread croutons. The burrata is actually made in Vietnam.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's produced in Vietnam. And it's no joke.
Yeah. Oh, look at that crema.
I'm gonna do that.
And that's our uni pasta. It's like a mushroom uni pasta, creamy pasta. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, must have.
How was it?
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't expect something like this in Vietnam. When you look at this table alone, you get things from every part of the world.
Absolutely.
Every part of the world. And you got things locally too. How many restaurants have you done already?
Currently, we are on our fifth restaurant. Yeah, we've just opened our fifth restaurant. Yeah.
And all different cuisines?
Different concepts, yeah. I mean, Seoul, we've got two of them. We had a taco joint, like a fast food version of Seoul. Then we have Nomu, which is our Japanese izakaya. And we have our new steakhouse that just opened last Wednesday.
I guess what Peter Franklin said was right. Singaporean businesses only think about franchising and opening concepts. But looking at what Adrian has achieved, what's so bad about that? Saigon never sleeps, and I think it's because they drink too much coffee here. And just like the restaurant scene, cafes in Vietnam have elevated from squat stools on the side of the road to bougie, if you know, hidden concepts. And here's one of them.
Hidden cafe culture is here.
It's everywhere here. So you go to any of this small little lane, you most likely discover this kind of amazing coffee that you can see here. and it not just Japanese, also Korean. You know, you can do 5-day tours of Saigon, just go into different cafes.
Yeah, it looks like it. When
Yeah.
I'm walking, I can count at least 30 cafes.
Oh,
in
you,
1
you,
kilometer
did you,
stretch.
Did you?
Yeah, the coffee culture here is very intense. You know, people just hang out the whole day at cafes.
This started because 5 years ago there was a big expat community that come here. Expat realized that there's none of these Vietnamese cafes that were conducive for working besides Starbucks. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 different cafes like this start to grow and mushroom in District 1.
You said that expats were coming here to work. Did they have permits or they just came here? They were finding jobs or what?
Yeah, they were not finding jobs. They were just finding that Vietnam is such a nice, cool place, and they can extend their visa, tourist visa. That's no longer possible. But what is left is still the working in the cafe culture, right? So this one of the cafe that I was gonna introduce you to. That is owned by run by the Vietnamese. We're gonna see her later.
What tea?
Coco Project, remember?
Okay. Alright,
so
yeah.
that is something that's similar, like a very big white space.
I'm a millennial, and I'm proud of it. I work hard to spend money on boutique, small batch, anything. In this case, chocolate. And just like the coffee trees, Vietnam's climate is perfect for growing cocoa trees. You've met Khanh-Linh. She came back to Vietnam from France to turn cocoa beans into business. The chocolate here is processed in the back rooms of the cafe. It's high-quality Vietnamese chocolate for Vietnamese people.
So what do people come here for? Besides the drinks, right? And the snacks.
To be honest, people here come more for the drinks rather than for the food. I mean, they will have food, but when I look at what they actually order when they come back more for the drinks, and the one that they come back for is this one. Yeah.
So I have the right things. What do you think the key difference of Vietnamese chocolate compared to the rest of the world is?
Vietnamese chocolate is more famous, more recognized for being fruity. And so you can see that even more with our 60 days chocolate. So it's a chocolate that, because everything is local, so it's the only place where you can do a chocolate in 60 days. Most chocolate will take 2 years. That's why Vietnamese chocolate is great, because it hasn't traveled all around the world. It traveled from Bến Tre to Binh Nhung, from Binh Nhung to here. So it's quite local.
I mean, you said beans to bar, right? So from beans to bar, how far do they have to travel until it's ready to market, like those there, the bars?
Maybe 100 kilometers, is it?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
My geography is really bad for Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean it's 2 hours of travel, but what we stand for is we make a chocolate for the locals, and so we promote the local dimension, and you can see it in the choice of ingredients. So this is pomelo peel, like a very Vietnamese ingredient.
Why don't we have it? Let's eat it.
I love it. I love the pomelo peel. And then it's candied, and then it's confit,
Yeah.
and then
And what do you want people to understand when they come here?
Like the chocolate is for everyone. So like our tagline is chocolat cho mọi người, so chocolate for the people. So we want them to have memories, remember that chocolate can be enjoyed in a simple way, not just only for the gift, for the gifting occasion, but also for a moment like this, like a casual Sunday where you can enjoy your chocolate and spend a moment together.
We sat for hours, and I can see why cafes are a necessity. Like Christine and Khanh-Linh, most Saigonese are hustling towards a dream. And that's tiring. So the Coco Project and thousands of other cafes in the country are like pit stops for a nation that never sleeps.
Saigon today is not what it was 15 years ago, for sure. It's so much to offer here. I get the goosebumps just thinking about leaving this place because there's so much more to discover. We only did District 1, you know, and there's so many other places to go, people to see, food to eat. I thought Saigon is going to be, so you come here, you find out about the war, what the US did here, but it's more than that. People don't really care about the war, they remember it, but it's something they learn from. I think right now the biggest problem is not what was, but what is. And they want to be better. What people say is true. It's a rising star in Asia, and I will be back, for sure. The people here, Buddhists to a bone, live by a simple truth as told by Buddha. Your work is to discover your work, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. A truth so pure and so infectious. Fellow travelers, share a meal, clink a glass and break bread with these folks, because for a fleeting moment between Vietnam's enduring past and her unwritten stories, we get to be a part of it.